Welcome to Wireless and IoT Security. In Chapter 4, we talk about the security threats that's on wired, wireless, and mobile networks. Okay, we look at threats to wireless networks and mobile devices, the risk mitigation, access and access control, information security standards, and the compliance of the regulatory standards. So, the question whenever we talk about security is what are you trying to protect? Why are you trying to protect it? What is the value of the asset? What or who are you trying to protect it from, and what constraints prevent you from protecting the asset. So the who or what are you protecting the assets from? Are you trying to protect external attackers, inside threats like employees? Now, most companies employ the practice of least privilege. Basically, that means you give everybody the smallest amount of permission that you need them to do their job well. You also need to check out which assets you want to protect. Security measures should be proportional to the value of assets and should not create an impediment to the asset's purpose or function. Let's say that you have a system that's basically there just monitoring your security setup, as in your cameras, everything. And does that system needs to be secured in a way it needs a biometric print, a password, a PIN, an RFID token, and physical security and a guard? Most probably not. It is just there as a system to see what's going on around. The key is to ensure that information security processes, practices, and techniques are aligned with the business plans, goals, objectives, and functions. Now, in every single security, minimum you need to think for the triad of security, the CIA, preventing unauthorized disclosure of information, integrity, preventing unauthorized modification of information, availability, preventing unauthorized withholding of resources or services, accountability, making users accounted for their actions, and non repudiation, preventing the denial that action has been taken. In confidence, you need to consider two things: the privacy information and the secrecy information. In the privacy information, you look at how do you protect the data from being seen. The secrecy of information, hiding knowledge of data's existence or whereabouts, must protect confidentiality of data stored on laptops, smartphones, and tablets. Anytime information leaves an organization's property, it becomes vulnerable. In IoT devices, a great deal of information can be gleaned about people and organizations by tracking device usage, on and off terms and settings. Integrity refers to assurance that information is genuine and remains true to its original form. It has not been manipulated or tampered with. Many applicants use message digest or hashes to ensure integrity of a document or file. Hash algorithms provide assurance of data integrity when data is passing over unsecured networks such as the internet. Also provide a method for mitigating man-in-the-middle attacks. Availability concerns with ensuring the systems and services are available to users when they need them and are not withheld by unauthorized means. It also aims to prevent service attacks. Attackers commonly launch those attacks through the signalization, flooding of TCP/IP protocol devices on the internet to disrupt the three-way handshake used by TCP to establish a session. In accountability, a system's access control can be bypassed accidentally or deliberately. Serious security breaches sometimes occur within a network, originated by authorized users rather than unauthorized user attackers outside of firewalls. Need mechanism in place for the accountability of internal users, audit trails, logs, authentication. Non-repudiation addresses when someone denies that he or she took a certain action, provides undeniable evidence that action was taken and by whom. It is important in e-commerce and financial transactions such as online trading, like email received, digital signatures, things like that. What are the threats to wireless and mobile devices? You have data theft threats, device control threats, system access threats. In data theft threats, hackers look for PII or personal identified information. The areas of interest for cyber criminals: credentials for personal or business accounts, credentials for business or personal information, credentials or remote access software for business networks, access to data and phone services. Mobile specific attacks designed to steal data is all you could call sniffing or snooping, malicious application like malware, browser exploits, cross-domain injection attacks, wireless phishing, loss of stolen devices, system or device takeover. Device control threats: your unauthorized and modified clients, ad hoc connections are software-based access points, endpoint attacks, Bluetooth Wi-Fi hacks, NFC and proximity hacking. You also have system access like denial of service attacks, evil twin point access points, where you have an access point is still the same network name as a legitimate W1 or hotspot, fooling such unsuspecting users in your connecting. Rogue access points. Now, how do you manage all this risk? When you look for risk mitigation methods, you look for mobile device screen locks and password protection, remote locks and data wipes for mobile devices, mobile GPS location tracking, store data encryption. So in modern day, you have this bring your own device. You got like in school, you could bring your own laptop. You connect it to the school's network, or you bring your own personal device to a company and you connect the company device one. By bringing an outside device into any organization, you're also bringing security issues. How do you manage the risk of that? So you have mobile device management. It enables network security administrators to manage mobile devices remotely, sends over-the-air signals to mobile devices to distribute application and configure settings. It can be expensive. Capital expense can be avoided with a SaaS cloud-based MDM solution. You also have mobile application management or MAM. Admins and manages applications on mobile devices, controls the provisioning and the distribution of in-house mobile application, and in some cases commercially available application through an enterprise application store. You have mitigation methods such as secure application, secure network access, and encryption. Other risks vary: legal separation between personal and business use, leakage of company data into the wild, enforcement of policy and governance, threat of loss and theft. Okay, you have desktop virtualization, the reproduction of the user desktop on an internet accessible server by connecting to virtual representation of their own company desktop. Users and circumvent many security problems with remote access. Users can execute, write, read, and edit files, while files remain on a company server. This is an alternative to MDM and MAM. So, in security, there's a concept of defense in depth. So, a defense in depth have physical controls like doors, locks, cameras, and security fences. You also have logical slash technical controls. These include hardware and software devices and apply that for the network, such as antivirus software, firewalls, IDS, and IPS. Protocols include security policies, process, and procedures. So here are the difference in depth. You have policy and awareness training. So every company should have a employee cybersecurity awareness. And you also have policies that helps guide the training and security. You have physical security, you have perimeter defense, land defense, host defense, and last, the application defense. So your multi-access network security requires multiple layers. You have external network layer, where web servers and services are exposed to the internet. Layer firewalls provide a secure DMZ. You have perimeter network layer, use, use an inner firewall to segregate the external network from internal resources. Normally host more secure and restricted web services. You have also internal network where the user hosts reside. You have an application server network, inner security zone protected by another layer of highly restrictive firewall rules. You also have a database server network, tight security policies, and multi-tiered access restrictions segregated by a very high security configuration and firewalls with limited open ports. In authorization and access control, you have authentication, which violates the claim identity. Your authorization, a process that works in conjunction with authentication to grant access right to a user. You also have accountability, a chronological record of system activity that can be forensically examined to reconstruct a sequence of system events. You have context-aware security devices. This is a method of providing data granularity in applying access controls. You have security policy that dictates the rules applied to authentication processes. Rules take into consideration user's detail, where which device the person is using, location, time. While considering these extra criteria, security admins can apply different access rights and authorizations to different contexts. You have context-aware firewalls. They are more flexible. They application-based rule structures. They access and authentication gatekeeper functions of security. Once security device has been authenticated and authorized, the user activity must be policed to protect the company assets, private information from leaving the network. These are some of the IS standards. You have ISO, IEC, you have NIST policies. The ISO IEC 27001 2030 standard provides the requirements for establishing, implementing, maintaining, continuously improving information security management system or ISMS. They are heavily reliant on a plan to do check or PDCA cycle. They consider guidelines, techniques, and general principles for initiating, implementing, managing, and improving information security within an organization. They address 14 general groups, each with its own objective, such as 114 controls that are seen as the best practice for achieving those objectives. These are the 14 groups: IS policies, the IS organization, human resource security, asset management, access control, cryptography, physical environment security, OS security, operational security, communication security, system acquisition, development and maintenance, supplier relationships, IS internal management, IS aspects of business continuity management, and compliance. In the next document is the security and privacy controls of federal information system organizations. It outlines a risk management framework that addresses security controls for federal information. NIST requires vendor seeking selection and implementation on for networks to undergo a certification and accreditation process. Controls include management, operation, and technical safeguards. Here are some regulatory compliance. Here the Sarbanes-Oxley Act. It was enacted to address investor confidence and corporate financial fraud through reporting standards for public companies. The Graham-Leach-Bailey Act. The purpose is to secure and protect personally identified information held by financial institutions. The HIPAA Act focuses on security and privacy in professions, the healthcare. Has a direct impact on IT with regard to how electronic information is stored and transferred. You also have the IT for Economic and Clinical Health Act. It addresses the privacy and security concerns associated with the electronic transmission of the health information and supplement and strengthens the enforcement of HIPAA rules. You also have Payment Card Industry Data Security Center, or PCI DSS, a comprehensive industry standard aimed at ensuring the safe and secure handling of credit card holder information at all steps of payment process. The objectives of the PCI DSS are build and maintain secure network, protect cardholders, maintain a vulnerability management program, implement strong access control measures, regularly monitor and test networks, maintain an information security policy. You also have GDPR laws and CCPA. GDPR is applicable to everything in Europe. Yeah, lawfulness, fairness, and transparency, purpose limitation, data minimization, accuracy, storage limitation, integrity and confidentiality, and accountability. The CCPA is state of California's version of GDPR, relates to anyone who does business as a California citizen, aims to protect the privacy of Californians' personal data from misuse and monetization by big tech businesses. There are detrimental effects to all these regulations. Main regulations such as SOX and HIPAA do not actually address security standards, techniques, or practices. They address inflexible business requirements, confusion within security profession, and in business in general about the difference between being secure and being compliant. Virtually every industry, country, state, and some cities create a data privacy regulation of its own, forcing companies that do business in their area of control to comply. In most cases, these regulations are redundant. So in this chapter, we looked at trust to wireless networks, risk mitigation, compliance with regulatory laws, IS standards, and access control. I see you guys in next class.